One of the great things about air traffic control, the very nature of the way the career is designed, is that you always have an opportunity to improve session by session, day by day, month by month, even hour by hour. The way the career is set up when you're assigned to a facility with a finite amount of airspace, with a finite amount of airways and fixes, you often have the opportunity to see conflicts, scenarios, situations, instances that occur. Sometimes you're lucky to see it a couple times a week. If you're really lucky, maybe a couple times a day. And the career is divided up into stages. The more you learn, the more responsibilities and a few more duties are thrown your way for you to reconcile and negotiate your way through them. Now, you're no stranger to that. We've been doing these videos for quite some time, and we have described some of those common occurrences, right? That's basically what this video series is about. We try to take what we see on an occurring basis, recurring basis, and give it to you ahead of time, maybe before you start the class downstairs in the lab, or maybe before you come up to train on the floor. So that's our hope and dream. So we did a couple of radar videos back to back if you're following this in succession. So we figured we'd give some love to the D side today. So it's really exciting. It's D side odds and ends because there was no better title than that. These are a couple instances, yet again, scenarios that you may see a little bit, but it's always good just to have those tools in the toolbox. And we use that metaphor a lot. But the funny thing about it is this is probably going to be a really rare tool, maybe some weird-headed screwdriver, beyond straight edge and Phillips, right? Some other weird-looking screw that you'll be happy you had it whenever you need it, but you may not really bust that tool out far too often. So it's detailed items to take care of your D-side skills to a whole nother level. That's what we're talking about. We have established some baseline knowledge. We've gone over a lot of scenarios and situations that you'll see all over the airspace. We've been to Sector 6, we've been to Sector 4 quite a bit. Sector 2, we really hit it that hard, but it's been a long time since we returned back to Sector 8 as the D side. I think our first video was the Anner Boleyn Bay and other Royal Pains, but it's time to go back and we're going to go over two examples of things that happen in that area in particular. It's a huge sector, very big, very weird shape looking polygon, and it has a lot of surprises for you. So without further ado, let's get to a bulleted list and hit up the sector. Not a long video today by any means, shorter relatively. So I'm excited. I hope you are too. I'm excited that you're here, and hey, let's get busy. Wouldn't we love to have that cinematic moment where somebody finds you in the crowd amongst a celebratory throng of people and says, hey, you're still dangerous, and there's a little bit of dialogue, and it ends with, you could be my wingman anytime, and somebody says, bullshit, you could be mine, and a celebratory hug after doing aerial combat dogfighting in the Indian Ocean with the Soviets. Well, that's what we're going for here, except probably minus the throng of people, minus the epic battle. At least nobody's getting blown up or F-14s flying over the sky. And if the wingman by you mean D side, well, then it's all relative. But guess what? Top Gun's a heck of a movie and it deserved a reference, so couldn't help but use it here. So here's the bulleted list. You are trying to be that awesome wingman, that awesome D side that we also talk about so much. So one of the things you're going to be looking at today is handoff and approvals in the non-radar radar area of Lima 337. As of 2020 and the year behind that, 2019, we established radar procedures with Santo Domingo. So now in the corner that makes up Santo Domingo Center's airspace, our airspace, and Curacao Center's airspace, there is a nice little triangle, a nice little corner where you have radar airspace to the immediate west, San Juan Center's airspace, which is immediately to the east, radar, and Curacao Center to the south and southwest, which is still manual procedure, manual coordination. So it's an interesting area. So we're going to take a look at that because there's going to be something you want to watch out for. And we're also going to take a look at also staying in Sector 8, ensuring non-radar crossing at another hotspot. So a little preview is going to include obviously us and Mike Attia, everybody's favorite foreign facility to coordinate with in Sector 8, if not all of San Juan Center. So that's exciting as well. So We're going to try to perfect your offerings to the radar team as a radar associate, and that is really exciting. We are going to make you become an MVP, a valuable participant in the sector, right? Sometimes the radar gets all the credit, but you are that unsung hero making everything come together. Think about it this way. You as a D-side have the picture way before any of the aircraft enter the airspace, and you have a pretty good concept, a pretty good realization of what's going to happen once aircraft leave the sector. You have that big picture. You have the clock and you have your strip bay, and you look over to the radar. They have the immediate picture, what is happening in live and living color currently on the scope. And when you guys get together and become awesome players in this game of our profession, you're unstoppable. So let's make that happen. So off to the sector, ready, set, jets, go. I can't wait. I will see you at the radar scope. Well, here we are in the southwest corner of Sector 8. We have exhaustively, almost ad nauseum, been over so many instances in that northwest corner that we find our fun now here in the Nagon Lima 337 vicinity. So a couple of baseline considerations possibly review for you. Now that we have radar-to-radar procedures with Santo Domingo, we know that their system is going to send the current flight plan, the CPL, to our system, right, our FDIO, when it comes off the printer. The flight plan is going to be sent 10 minutes prior to the aircraft estimating the common boundary. So, Nagon, the fix on Lima 337, the coordination fix, is on the common boundary between us, San Juan Center, and Santo Domingo. So 10 minutes prior to Nagon, we will get the flight plan. And also, too, the track will be eligible for auto acquisition or to be tagged up, because also the aircraft's track will be sent to the tabular list and micro ER. So both the strip and the tab list entry, if you call it, are the two signs to say, hey, we've had a successful flight plan transfer from one facility to the other. So with that logic, if an aircraft is going roughly 8 miles a minute and the flight plan is sent 10 minutes prior to the boundary, we can at least say with a reasonable amount of confidence that we can probably see the aircraft, because our radar does go out that far, and also I believe one of our ADSB ground stations goes out that far. We can see the aircraft 80 miles from the boundary. Now, if you notice on American 2703's tag that it's a J tag. So we are working Sector 8 by itself. And recently, when Sector 8 is being worked independent of Sector 2, we, or some, radar controllers have taken their range, what they see and what they're looking into on Sector 8, and take it out a little farther to see more into Santo Domingo's airspace, because we have handoffs now. And it's actually a good call, because now you're able to see farther inside their airspace, so you can see the traffic coming. And they didn't need that before, because prior the old procedures were it was a non-radar approval, so you as the D side was ensuring some kind of positive non-radar separation until they radar identified the aircraft. But now that radar identification is being transferred from one facility to the other, now it's up to you, the radar associate or the radar controller, to call radar contact on some of these aircraft. So just keep that in mind, and let's start this dialogue here. Oh, sorry, I had my pointer. There it is. So here we are. San Juan Center, Santo Domingo Center, handoff. Perfect. San Juan Center. Northwest Nagon, American 2703, flight level 330. And pause. You're like, Steve, why pause? Radar contact, or American 2703 radar contact. Well, let's hold our horses here. Remember in the beginning, we are looking at a pretty precarious corner here, a precarious triangle. We have us, our center, San Juan Center with radar, Santo Domingo Center with radar, and the procedures and an LOA that creates radar-to-radar procedures. But we have Curacao down there who does have radar, but we don't have radar procedures with them. And we might have traffic, because think of it this way. Our radar is taking a look, is able to surveil 80 miles, at least 80 miles inside of Santo Domingo Center's airspace. Perfect. That's why we see American 2703 on a full data block. But guess what? If you were to scan, and this is what I'm trying to get at here for this, if you were to scan and you were to see that we have an aircraft approved northbound from Curaçao's airspace over Scapa, you might want to second, just hold your horses, like I said, and have a second thought on perhaps approving a different altitude, because 80 miles south of Scapa, our radar doesn't see quite that far. It sees pretty far, but I don't think it sees that far. So, and they're also not radar identified. So it could be any target. You're not sure if that's who they say they are, right? So this is where you want to be careful. So instead of being tempted to say radar contact right off the bat, I would encourage you to do a quick scan of your last scanner bay and take a look for traffic that might be a factor. It's only one fix that you're looking for, and it's your Scapa traffic. But what makes this scenario a tad more complex, within the last year, with this video being done in 2020, we have radar-to-radar procedures established in 2019 with Santo Domingo, plus we have a whole slew of new airways that emit or go through Scapa, one of which is Lima 325, 327, and obviously Lima 455 as well. So we have a whole array of, and Lima 335 as well. So Lima 335, 327, Lima 455 still goes through, and they all intersect with Lima 337 at some point, whether Cabeza or unnamed intersections as they fan out. So what I'm getting at here is you also have now an exponential increase of possible named and unnamed intersections to protect for. So if you were to look at this, and you see Avianca 258 is Scapa at 1812, and Dakes and Joshi, because they're on Lima 325. So I'm sorry if I misspoke. It's Lima 325, Lima 335, Lima 327, and Lima 455. So it's a whole bunch. And what I'm getting at is you don't even have a Cabeza time for this aircraft. You do for American 2703, it's 1814. And from Scapa to roughly about the intersection of Lima 325 and Lima 337, it's about 22 miles. Maybe a little more. I think it's like 23. So guess what? These aircraft, as it stands, are wired. And you would not know that right off the bat because you don't even have a common intersection to look for. So I'm not saying to lose your mind and get extremely riled up and let this be heavy on your mind as you go forward with training, but it's something to consider. Take a look at this bay and see what the situation is. Since these aircraft are both at 33, not only do you have time to fix it as we do our ... like, hey, just stand by, you have an opportunity to fix this problem and find a solution before the radar controller ever talks to either of these aircraft, which is nice because you're the radar associate. So you should be encouraged and feel like, hey, guess what? Based upon what I am seeing here in my traffic bay is the D side. This is my purview. This is my responsibility. You should be like, I got this. So maybe say unable, 35, 33, or request control. Any of the options would be great. Request control, and guess what? They'll oblige you and you tell your R side, hey, American 2703 33, and you may not see this aircraft yet. Avianca 258 is approved northbound Scapa at 33, and then have the R side make the decision. Or go higher, go lower based upon what you think or what the traffic dictates. So either a high or low option would work here. So very good job with that, and I appreciate you listening. It was a bit of a diatribe, but it's important. It's imperative that you understand that you may not get a clean strip to tell you the whole story. You might have to do some extrapolation. You might have to investigate a little further as to what is going on. So like I said, I would say either unable 33, 35, 37, or request control and have a discussion with your R side, because we have radar procedures, but you still have to protect for that one facility in this little triangle that is non-radar and ensure some kind of separation, non-radar that is. So good job, go vertical. Let's move on to the next thing. So we find ourselves remaining in Sector 8. We just moved geographically a little bit further to the southeast, still in the Alaska Inner Bay. And as you see here, we have a couple of pieces of traffic here. So feel free to maybe pause if you'd like to do this coordination with Piarco Center. It's not the primary focus of this scenario, but it affords you the opportunity to practice if you so desire. So without further ado, before we are oh so keen on getting this coordination done, we are interrupted, our train of thought, by the Maiquetía ring line. Ring, ring, ring goes to Maiquetía ring line, San Juan Center, you answer, and Maiquetía, Mylock Usman Hotel Kilo 7855. We see it in the suspense bay. We take it out, we put it there in the live traffic bay, Hotel Kilo 7855, time and level, Mylock at 1810, flight level 330. And you respond with standby, because there is something extremely interesting at play here. First, we know that the traffic bay is a last scanner, and usually traffic bays get their name because the purpose of the bay is to segregate traffic participating in the bay over common points, intersections, nav aids, so that they can be separated from. It provides a logical, time-sequenced picture of where the aircraft are going to be in relation to a common point, or in this case, 2 points, since Sector 8 is so large. So just like Sector 4 has, in Sector 4, you have Lent, Thank, Yaya, Nadu. Well, in Sector 8, you have two kind of sub-bays, Alaska Anner, because Alaska is kind of further west and Anner is further east because of how large Sector 8 is geographically, the polygon-like shape. So now, look at the routes of flight. This is not an uncommon occurrence. Somebody on what was Amber 516, now Mike 576, going to Juliana's airspace. And we have American 2703 at 37, no factor. Delta 339 at 35, no factor. And Argentina 1301 at 33 over Kuiper. Well, interesting. Look, Upper Mike 423, one of the newer airways, at least for San Juan. It's been in Maiquetía and South American Center's airspace for quite some time now, and it's a new airway, and it transitions a lot of South American traffic going to the New York terminal area. So it's going to be, we might even see a spike of traffic of users on this. And Argentina 1301 is no stranger to us, from Buenos Aires or Kennedy to Buenos Aires, going eastbound at 33, and we have Hotel Kilo 7855. Now, you would know, or if not, it's a good review that when you activate this ticket or when you add plus times, we are so used to protecting the Raffi and Anner area because of all the traffic on Lima 452, 466, and 467, and Lima 459 to an extent. But this time, we are looking at a fix that is geographically west of Anner, because there's Anner, what we protect for, and usually that's a plus 10, easy mental math. But look at the intersection we are protecting for, and you wouldn't know it because the bay bears no name, no nomenclature, or reference to Rias. And guess what? Your Mike 576 aircraft, even though they're along this airway, the printer or the computer the printer via the computer will not give you a Rias ticket right off the bat. In the natural succession that automation has set up here in San Juan, you would not get a Rias ticket right off the bat, because guess what? One fix over on Mike 576 is, well, two fixes over is Anner, where the bay gets its name from. So we are protecting for a fix that is not, or may not be, as blatantly obvious because it doesn't have a name or is not made reference to in the traffic bay header, which, as we discussed, its very purpose is to say, hey, if you have a ticket in this bay and you posted it properly, I am going to help you segregate and reconcile possible conflicts because I'm showing you what everybody's time and altitude is referenced to a known fix. Well, Rias is just not made reference to, and sometimes it's a very easily forgettable fix because Raffi and Anner get all the love and all the attention in this bay, rightfully so. That's where the bulk of the traffic is. But you have to think to yourself, look, this airway continues eastbound at an odd altitude, and Maiquetía wants to give you an eastbound altitude going northeast. So protecting for Rias is something that we haven't done before, and you may not get to see that all the time, given the fact that Piarco Center still gets the bulk of South American traffic transitioning northbound. and vice versa. Bulk of the states, the United States, continental United States, and Europe transitioning southeastbound goes over Piarco Center's airspace. But sometimes you're going to solve a conflict that geographically takes place over Rias as opposed to the Raffi-Anner area, which is a good portion, a good distance east. So plus time is very easy. As you see, we got a little help there from SkyVector, 33 miles at 8 miles a minute, at 32 roughly. What's 1 minute between friends? And it's close enough for government work, and we're government employees. So you add 4 to the 1810 MyWalk time, and sure enough, you have a Rias wired up, ready to go deal. And you knowing better, you would approve flight level, approve flight level 310, right? Because everything else seems to be taken up. You can only go lower, and they're going to be landing close pretty soon anyways. So 31 would be something you'd be interested in, but unable flight level 330 due to traffic. Flight level 310 approved, MyLock at 1810, Hotel Kilo 7855. And sure enough, followed through with that, you would get this ticket fresh off the printer from the A side, and that would prove your point even further. So yeah, look at that. Proving it to you that you wouldn't even get a Rias time. You get an Anner time, and you have to extrapolate off that to see that. So the computer is not going to tell you right off the bat unless you specifically request it. And it's depending upon you to use some mental math. So if you can remember when you have the off chance, the kind of rarity of getting a Rias-centric traffic situation, to know that the plus time isn't nearly as great as the Raffi-Anner area. So just some things to consider. Like I said, this is purely an odds and ends thing. I hope you were able to take away something from these 2 points that we covered today. Not very exhaustive, not very complex at all, just very, very detailed. And if you can slow yourself down and recognize these details, well, you'll be plenty the wiser. So I'll see you at the next clip, and we'll talk over some things again. Well, great job, Ice or Maverick, depending on which one you are. I think you certainly earned your wings as a radar associate in D-side. As you see, we went over one concept of each. We did a little radar associate and we did a little D-side, and you were able to almost mix both of those duties in each of those, which is absolutely fantastic. Wonderful job today. Those were the broad strokes, but very detailed nonetheless, right? These areas that we are dealing with may not see the volume of traffic. We kind of talked about that around the Anner Raffi area, kind of gets most of the attention. Rias is kind of left out of the mix. And more often than not, you'll be able to see most of all the parties will be radar identified by the time you get a call for a handoff from Santo Domingo. If there was traffic, you would see it already making its way northbound from Curacao Center's airspace. But these skills are very important. It's doing things the right way, being very thorough, being very correct, and applying the right rules to the situation at hand. So very happy you decided to click on this video and spend some time with me today. It wasn't the sexiest of all concepts, but 2 areas that don't get a lot of attention, and we were able to take care of those in one quick and easy video. Very, very happy. I hope you're enjoying this series, especially the D-side series. Like I said, thanks again for hanging out with me, talking shop. Love talking this wonderful profession of ours, any aspect, A-side, D-side, flight data, radar, all kind of fun to be had while at work. So have a great day wherever you're at. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. Steve here, wishing you nothing but the best, and may you keep your separation just like your attitude positive. I will see you at the next video.